that this is being funded by the school system, hopefully one of many. They will work with our family intervention team on the school campuses and identify those youth at risk and try to funnel them with additional resources. That, and I should talk a little bit of that and talk about the Super Better program that you brought to.
Sure. The school analyst program, School Liaison, is funded by the school system. It is a 3-year pilot program. That program is set up for us to study the effects of intervention in the city of Mobile. So we're going to identify the schools in Mobile, city of Mobile, that we can actually provide some prevention intervention services, do the wraparound that we currently do with our family intervention team, our victim services, and all our other partners that we collaborate with. The goal is to see the effects of being very intentional in trying to home in on those concerns on school campuses. Diallo will be on the campuses. So, and that's where the difference lies, building those relationships with those young people on the campus.
And I think a question came up earlier about the schools, because you're only doing it in high schools within the city limits. Is that correct?
High school and middle schools.
And middle school.
Our
Okay.
goal is to identify the most problematic areas.
Middle schools, yeah.
So we're going to try to get focused to those schools, and we're going to work closely with our partners that are not government, those nonprofits, because we have to create a way to connect them to outside resources, community-based resources. How do we extend engagement? Because you have to look at the psychosocial effects of behavior. And oftentimes when we talk about, the arrest, well, the goal is to actually mitigate arrest. How do we do that? We do that by doing some front-end approaches to trying to mitigate the concerns that no one wants. Because we don't want to be reactive. We want to actually come up with strategies that will prevent, right?
And I guess another big topic, and I see Mr. Jones is here, is our partnership with USA Health and the Hospital Violence Intervention Program that is supposed to kick off, what we were told, in June. This is a program that we gave a significant amount of money with. You want to give an update?
Joshua, why don't you come up and give us an update? Do you mind? And turn that microphone on at the podium.
So in regards to the hospital-based violence intervention program, we've moved forward with hiring individuals to take the violence intervention specialist positions. We're currently finishing up the training associated with the hobby, which is the leading entity for violence intervention in the country right now. We've hired our clinical case manager as well. We've also secured additional funding for additional programs that will be going on concurrent to the hospital-based violence intervention program as well. So soft launch date is still planned for June. And so if there's anything changes, I'll push out any additional information.
Well, during the town hall meeting, Dr. Williams was on the panel, and the information that she provided was just really exciting, I thought, and what you all are doing over there. I know it's a step-by-step process, and it takes a while to really move things forward, and certainly not going as quickly as you would like, but I think that the progress that you're already seeing and the efforts that you're putting forth are exciting for the city of Mobile in particular. And so we just look forward to hearing how that goes, and anything that you need from us to help, we'd like to know.
Indeed. We'll be having a community advisory board for the community to participate in, as well as in addition to local leaders, and there'll be transparent evaluation practices presented as well, so that y'all know the success that will come from this program.
Okay, and everybody knows what we're talking about here, right? The program that they've got over at USA. Okay.
So when we look at the feedback and the comments that we got from the town hall, clearly there was two main topics. One was about our youth, and that's why we continue to reach out and try to develop programs that are effective the youth, whether it be the Super Better, whether it be the school safety analyst. We continue to partner with Mobile County Public Schools, because that's where both of our youth lie, and how we can get contact with them. The other one was about the violence and breaking the cycle of violence. and through de-escalation and programs like the hospital-based intervention.
Mhm.
And that's pretty much where the comments lie. They were a little bit repetitive, but that's the main concern. That's why we continue to focus in that area.
Yeah, I was just trying to think through the different panelists and the information that was shared and questions, because most of the people who were there to speak, and y'all helped me out with this, it seemed like they were parents who were just very concerned about their children and making sure that their children were safe. That's what I remember hearing
Yeah.
mostly.
So, and it's unfortunate Dr. Threadgill couldn't be there, but Mr. Gateway did an excellent job. They continue to take remarkable steps of when I say hardening, putting additional security measures within the schools in order to keep the school safe, whether it's their magnetometers or their video surveillance capabilities. They do a great job, and they're really moving the ball forward in that realm. And hats off to Director Threadgill.
Council members, any questions about the town hall portion? Councilman Penn?
No question about the town hall portion of it, but I can wait to talk
Yeah.
about everything
I
else.
thought we would go.
Okay.
Any,
All right.
William, Josh, Ben, anything from the town hall? Okay. All right, we're going to move then into the rest of the meeting, which is updates on some recent cases, including the Sage Park basketball court shooting, Midtown Publix, and any additional incidents occurring before April 29th. And those would include the other couple of things that we've seen at Langen Park, and then Longleaf Forest, which is next door to the Botanical Gardens. Those are just things that we have seen in between these meetings. So, Director, I'm going to go ahead and start with you, and Chief. Okay.
I'll introduce Deputy Chief Jones. He'll give you the most up-to-date, ready for public consumption.
Okay, great.
So good afternoon. So I'm just going to go over the incidents as they happen in chronological order. The first incident we had was at Langen Park on March the 11th, approximately 3:30 hours. Officers responded to reports of shots fired. And early investigation discovered that these were a group of juveniles that had came to the park. And then what we're looking at seems to be school-aged children that were actually at the park while school was still in taking the ACT test. So investigators received information from various sources which pointed out to potential persons of interest being involved in the event. Again, various juveniles from the school systems were interviewed. Investigators are awaiting results for further forensic data analysts to further potential viable leads regarding this incident. They're still canvassing the area, talking to witnesses, things of that nature. Shortly after that, we had the Botanical Gardens or Longleaf Forest incident. Investigation shows that they're not related at all. The gentleman that was actually arrested in that points to the fact that he was just firing a gun, trying to see how it works. Again, he was arrested and taken to Metro Jail. Again, they were not related in any way. We had the Sage Park incident on Thursday, April 17th, approximately 21:16 hours. Officers responded to shots fired at Sage Park at the basketball court located at 2906 Dolphin Street. While en route at the scene, we discovered that there were two victims, one male, one female, that had been taken to two different hospitals, one university and another hospital at Spring Hill Medical Center by POV. Officers get on the scene, noticed there were several people running, and early investigation revealed that a large crowd had gathered at the location to watch various basketball games, as they usually do in that area. During the event, several opposing members confronted one another and gunfire ensued, striking both the male victim and the female victim. Unfortunately, the female victim succumbed to her injuries. And right now, investigators are still doing targeting interviews with various individuals, affiliates, and witnesses and following up on any and all related information and evidence to support a resolve to this incident. I have the utmost confidence in our major crimes division. They will not leave a stone unturned, and I'm very confident that this will come to a resolution. And last but not definitely not least, at the Publix, April 19th at 14:23 hours, officers were dispatched to a report of a female that was shot at the Publix parking lot on Florida Street. While en route, officers gathered a description of an individual that may have been involved in that incident. On their way there, an officer confronted an individual fitting that description and detained him. It was later discovered that the individual was indeed involved and was the subject of that incident. The victim was transported to University Hospital after the gunshot wound that she received. Apparently, it was a robbery where the subject demanded money from the victim, where she stated she didn't have any, and screamed where she was then shot. The subject was interviewed. Well, before actually the subject was interviewed, he was taken to the hospital because there was evidence showing that he had possibly been a victim of a stroke during that incident. But after the subject was cleared from the hospital, he was taken to headquarters where he was interviewed and then arrested for that. Also, the FBI is involved as well due to the components of the robbery itself. So some of the things that we're doing because of that is we've pushed increased patrols, close patrols, directed patrols in our parks, our shopping areas, with an emphasis on making sure that the parks are closing when they're supposed to be closing, and also just being a presence in our parks and around our areas. We've also done things such as conducting traffic enforcement operations in and around those areas, because that's a twofold. We're actually trying to promote great driving behavior for one, but also officer presence in that area for two. We've also started, and you've probably seen on the news and the media, that we've actually started our walk and talks into our communities, where we have the precinct commanders pick a neighborhood and we go in, we just knock on doors and we talk to citizens just to let them know that we are in the area, any concerns that they may have, and also let them know that how they can reach us if need be.
And I want to add to something Major Jones said, because he talked about the increased presence in the traffic patrols. Just so, I mean, everybody's clear, it's a known fact that the backbone of the PD is the patrol, and getting out there with visibility and showing a presence. And when we ever do these enhanced traffic or enhanced patrols, it increases the presence more than just one or two cars. They get used to seeing these officers in these areas a lot more. So we're going to continue throughout the summer and do what we can to keep it up and keep the presence as high as we can.
Okay. I know Councilman Penn has some questions before I get to you, Corey, if you don't mind. On the Langen Park shooting, have we not found any shell casings that match any that you've found before?
No, so far as matchings at this time, no. But that's it's still not early in the investigation, but it's still part of that investigation that we're still, trying to comb through and find out if there is anything that does match.
Okay. And were the juveniles from different schools, same school? Do you know?
And the investigation actually points to different schools that it looks right now. I mean, we can't really pinpoint. We have an inclination of what schools are at, but that's not happened yet confirmed just a bit.
And anything about some sort of an ongoing argument between the two groups and just led them to Langen Park, or was Langen Park just happened to be where they wound up? I mean,
pretty much, yes, ma'am.
it wasn't intentional to be in that park?
Well, I mean, yeah, it was intentional. They were going to come to the park to hang out like kids do. High school kids do when they're hanging out, just, being high school kids. But I think, of course, the investigation shows that there was some type of conflict between two different factions, and then shots rang out for the most part. Again, we're still turning corners, we're still canvassing areas, we're still getting information as it comes through.
And just one last question on
Mhm.
the other one, the over at the Longleaf Forest. You know, people ask me all the time, why would somebody go park their car in a parking lot where all these people are and
Yes,
then go
ma'am.
walk into? It's a wooded area, yes, but it is. It's not just let's go out into the woods somewhere. This is, you know, a public place where people go and walk and do things. Why would somebody just go park their car there and then walk into it and start shooting off a gun, trying it out?
You know, honestly, I don't think the gentleman realized where he was, to be frank with you. I really don't. I really don't.
Yeah.
Again, investigation doesn't point to anything intentional
Yeah.
in that era, but I just don't think he knew where he was.
Okay, well, I guess hope not, but because that really created a lot of issues for the neighborhood behind the Longleaf Forest. And then, of course, we had the playground, which was the baseball, football fields, which was just
Absolutely.
down from it. So that created a lot of concern and really some frightening times for the people who were there.
Yes, ma'am. It did. It did. And when that's one of actually neighborhoods that we walked during our
Yes.
walking talks and talked to the
Well,
residents.
very good.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
Thank you. Okay.
I think for record, we probably want to be mindful. A lot of times we say schools. A lot of times it's kids that may attend schools together, but I don't like to call them necessarily schools because we kind of at that point kind of pigeonhole the school as being the place where this behavior starts. The behavior ultimately starts in the community. So we want to try to make sure, for me, as we try to continue to build our relationships with the schools, to make sure that they understand that we're not targeting or identifying the schools.
Any one
as-
particular
Right,
school. Right.
right.
Okay. All right. Did you have anything else? Okay. The other incidents that we wanted to get into a little bit more were in Councilman Penn's district, so I'm going to let him.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Vice President, and thank you, Deputy Chief Jones, for being here and speaking on the incidents that occurred in Sage and Midtown. When of course, I addressed this in council, and I'm glad to hear about some of the updates already in place that the MPD's public safety is already implementing. That's something that I requested early, and I always tell people that it's the community, it's our part to be a part of it.
Absolutely.
But we also, we only can do what we can.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that I love that you already, and I saw that you was doing, was the walks and talks.
Yes, sir.
And I think it's very vital. And I think community policing, and when I mean community policing, being actively engaged is very vital. And I want to participate in that. So I would love for you all to come to our district and be a part, do that the next time you're in the area. I think that's very vital. I think the community need to be actively engaged.
Absolutely.
And so I requested even earlier today in pre-council and council that the MPD and the fire department have a game and have activities and play, because the kids are out there in the community already.
Definitely.
And
Yes,
so
sir.
having those conversations where they feel comfortable talking, I want to be a part of it. I want to play in the games. I
Okay.
want to do that. But I think that's a request that I think that will be much needed in our communities, not just at Sage, but at all our parks
Period.
in Tomerville,
Yes, sir.
being active and engaged. So hopefully that's something that we can get started. And I think signage is very important too, putting this, making sure, and I've been working with Parks and Recs, and they said that they're going to be working on that signage. And then, and when the incident happened at Midtown, I went out to Publix, and now Publix they have a security
Yes, sir.
officer out there as well now.
Yes, sir.
And then I've seen police present. So everything that I requested, I have seen you all and the business owners have been implemented. And so I just want to commend you all for doing those updates, for making those requests happen. But one of the things I want to do moving forward, let's work together as a community. So
Absolutely.
anytime you all are having anything take place, let's make it happen.
Yes, sir.
And I would love to see more of the walks and talks and that community policing in our parks and recs happen more often.
Yes, sir.
And when that happens, and I'm gonna add this, I think we should reach out to our church leaders, not just you all walking out there by yourself, but tell me so I can walk with you. Tell the pastors, and let's hold everybody. Like, we're finna walk in the community. I need y'all walking too.
Absolutely.
I need everybody, the coaches. Let's all join in together and protect our community. So and that's going to lead to some of my questions about strategic planning later on. I'm not going to mention it right now because we're talking about that, but that's a part of how can we move forward together. So Thank you, Deputy Chief.
Yes, sir.
Jones.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Councilman Penn.
So with that, Councilman Penn,
Just slide it. No, with your finger, just slide it.
Okay.
Yeah.
so I'd like to ask Sergeant McCarty to come up to the stand. I mean, if you want to get out there, he just started his summertime Ceasefire Sundays, which is a kickball game. And if any of the city council would like to go and participate in those, why don't you give them a little bit about what you do at Ceasefire Sundays?
How y'all doing? So Ceasefire Sunday is something that started with the Williams Co-ed Kickball League. It takes place at Doyle Park off of Rosedale off DIP. And what you have is several communities coming together. The title is intentional, ceasefire, because they know that there is a problem. But what it does is it allows the communities to come together with families. We have a police kickball team, and we won the championship last year. Just want to throw that out there. But this year, the fire department joined. So there's a whole public safety aspect. But what we also do is we have community resources come out on particular dates, Lifelines, Family Intervention Team, Victim Services Unit. We've invited other agencies to come out. And the next one is going to be, the next resource fair is going to be May the 18th. But it's Sunday kickball. And what you see is the community taking accountability and leading by example and simply showing, hey, we can do this. We can come together and be in a nonviolent situation. So I think that's something that's truly major that we're doing. And the community is just really taking the accountability.
And since you're already up there, why don't you talk about your tie campaign, your tie event that's coming up?
Blue Ties for Guys was created by Jennifer King and Deandra Clifton. Those are two of our family intervention team specialists. But what it is a one-day boys camp, and they come and they get certain different life skills classes. And a lot of young men at that age, they have not seen themselves in a suit, but they get haircuts, get life skills, and they get a brand new suit. They get to see themselves and to see the transformation from the beginning of the program to the end. The smiles are big, but another thing that's huge is that our entire investigative unit, men and women, they come out, they're in their suits, and they're taking pictures with these young men as well. So again, just one of the things that we're doing to engage our young people.
Sorry, McCarty, can you speak about Super Better?
Yes, Super Better is a cognitive-based app that we use for the family intervention team. And what it does is basically allows us to have a counseling situation right here in the palm of our hand. One of the things that our young people love is their phone. So they can't get out of their phone. So instead of looking at the phone as a weapon, we use it as a tool. So what they do is they get with that particular family intervention team specialist, and then they will give them an assignment, because they do that based off of what their main issues have been discovered to be. So what the family intervention team specialist does is create an assignment for them. They go on to it. And then when they go to their next session together, they talk about that. And that's something that they can continue to focus on and work on.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Sergeant McCarty. I see you everywhere. Me and you in similar places all the time. And we already talked about Blue Ties, and same with Deputy Chief Jones. We speak at multiple events together, dealing with youth. But I commend on the things that you all are doing in the community. And I love to play the kickball. I don't know if the boys in blue gonna let me be a part, of the team, but I look, I played me and William and Gina, and CJ, we played in the kickball tournament. And some did well, some didn't. But we'll get out there and play some kickball. But later on, I got some other questions. But thank you so much for that.
Talking about the walk and talks, if you all could get with the council members and let us all know when you might have something planned in our community, because I think all of us would like to know and potentially walk and talk along with you. And when you do plan with the communities, do y'all just go, or do you try to put the word out to the people in the community that you're doing this, or how do you handle it?
We just go, Councilwoman. And I'm going to tell you why we do it that way is because we want you in the raw. We want you in the natural. We want them to see us in the natural. So when we're knocking on these doors,
Yeah.
we're concerned. It's genuine. So, a lot of times, depending on the community you're in, sometimes they answer the door, sometimes they don't. But the people that we talk to, I mean, we enjoy, and we can talk about anything about from concerns to Alabama football. Roll Tide, by the way.
What time of the day do you normally do
We
these?
normally do between 2:30 and 3:30. So that's when most people are home from work, and then depending on the community too. If it's a more senior community, sometime around 11-ish. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, if y'all would just let us know, because I'm sure that a lot of us would like to go with you and do
Absolutely.
that and be a part of it. And then maybe to get in touch with the pastors or other folks who might, like.
Oh, we are. Yes, ma'am. We're already on it. I'm excited. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. Let's do it.
Question.
Okay, William.
In District 2, I'm pretty sure you're aware for several years, we've had night walks with the pastors.
Mhm.
And that's been going on now for 3 years, and we've been continuing to do that. And we've been walking in some of the most high-risk areas. The question I would have now is that, are you guys at the point to where you guys can actually walk the night walk with the group of pastors and the other men that are involved with that, and add some additional resources to what they're doing? It would really help, because doing those night walks, we see a whole lot more than what we see from 2 to 5 o'clock. And it's a different element that's actually out in the community at that time. So if we can, I'd like to see you guys partner with that effort to make sure that it becomes a whole lot bigger than what it is.
Absolutely. We'll make it happen.
Okay, y'all have anything else you wanted to?
The incidents.
Okay, well, Director, did you?
It's kind of off topic, but I'd like to talk about it because we are, we talked a lot about police, but police is just one part of public safety. We do police, fire, emergency preparedness, emergency preparation, and we are getting into hurricane season. During the past year, or in the last, when I took this job, I noticed that every department had a hurricane plan. We did not have a unified city plan or a way that the city reacts. So every department was kind of on their own. So over the past year, we developed a unified plan for the entire city. And it's to manage not only hurricanes, but natural disasters and emergency events. We will exercise it internally tomorrow for the first time with just all our internal partners. And in the end of May, we will do it with our external partners as well. You guys are all invited to attend. It's tomorrow morning, starts at 8:30 at the museum.
That's why we got the
Maritime
information about.
So, are we
Yes,
talking
a lot of
about
cars.
the EMA center out in?
No, we're talking downtown.
Two questions. One, in the event of a natural disaster, I thought protocol here was that the county immediately takes the lead with the president of the county commission, and then second would be the city clerk, and then third would be us, because it's a countywide event. Are you telling me that protocol has now changed?
Well, that was never the case. The county EMA makes the calls,
Mhm.
or EMA makes the calls. However, how we react internally within city government and what the departments do for the preparation and for the cleanup, it's how we run city.
So you're talking about preparation and cleanup.
Correct.
Okay.
And policing and security immediately thereafter.
Mhm.
The dispatch of public works crews, how the fire department is going to use their
Okay.
calls for
That makes
emergencies.
sense.
So, yeah.
Okay, anybody else before we go back to Councilman Penn? All right, you got the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Vice President. We finished, I think we now with committee discussions now. And I'm glad you led with that, Director Lasky. One of the things, y'all know, this is my lane. I'm very passionate about it. And so a year ago, we started doing the town halls and started talking about strategies. How can we implement different things? One of the things you just talked about is having a plan for hurricane, prepare for any incident that occurred. One of the things that I requested was a plan for youth violence, for a strategy. Do we have a comprehensive plan right now, pillars, a plan for violence right now?
We have a comprehensive approach, and that discusses everything that we do from the public safety realm. As you notice, we've taken a holistic view of public safety, where we're treating not just the symptoms, but actually the root causes. That's why we're expanding into mental health. That we're continuing to expand our programs with the youth. That's why we've also expanded it into getting into the home with dealing with the homeless. And I'll let Curtis talk about it because most of the time when you guys talk about homeless, you're thinking about the guy in the street. That's not the biggest homeless problem in Mobile, the city of Mobile. Why don't you add to that?
Yeah, I always refer to Maslow's hierarchy of needs and the different layers that lead up to self-actualization. That bottom layer is psychological shelter and a bunch of other things relative to just day-to-day living. Most of our children and families don't meet that basic level. And because they don't meet that basic level, oftentimes they find themselves in situations in the environment or in a community that lend itself to them being at a disadvantage and getting into the wrong places and spaces. The goal of what we're trying to accomplish now is a holistic approach by leveraging resources, because the city in and of itself can't do it all. And we should never put it out there as if we can. We need the support of public health. We need the support of our academia, K through 12, as well as our post-secondary. We need our NGOs. We need all of those to collaborate with us to come up with a holistic approach that leads to self-actualization in families. You have families, as Director Lasky stated earlier, that when we talk about homeless, we don't talk about those who are couch surfing in our school system. We have over 4,000 families that don't have a place to stay. And they are trying to manage the best way they can. And they go unheard and unseen. We have to be more intentional in identifying them. HUD does not identify them as homeless. And that's a tragedy. But the reality is that you have people who are working every day that are underemployed, that are renting rooms in other people's homes for as much as $900 to $1,000 sometimes. Okay, how do they get off their feet? How do they actually come to any sense of self-actualization? So everything that we're doing as a city right now applies to that strategy of trying to create that pillar effect that leads to self-actualization. Whether it's us trying to figure out how do we, from an economic position families who are underserved, who don't have the means for day-to-day to gain access to training that will benefit them so that they can start seeing themselves thriving. The family is fundamentally the core of addressing behavior, coupled with government, NGOs, and community at large supporting with a wraparound approach to making sure that families have what they need.
And that's why we've expanded our relationships with different 501c3s. Most recently, the RAIN group. That group is very committed into developing a safe space and economic resource center on land that we provided for them. They continue to march forward because one of the things that we do talk about is with these youth, they need to have, we need to provide them with a viable economic future in order to help and get them off the street and get them from committing violence. And I think our work with the 501c3s, is pushing towards that, and we will get there.
And this is not a soft hand on law enforcement. This is actually a what do we do different to change what we currently see? And we have to have a holistic approach. And to answer your question, a comprehensive strategy, it's great, but it's not easy because it's so many other pillars that are outside city government that have to be a part of that strategy. So, and we're working on that.
Yeah. So thank you,
Yes,
Commander Gray. That's what I was looking for. Like, that's work that we need to get done. Like, I think that's the major piece. Going back to what you were saying, having plan for a hurricane, when you don't have that strategic plan from a community-based standpoint. I love what you said when you said it's not just the city. We need the community. We need everybody sitting at the table. But when you don't have a plan, now I said this a year ago and 2 years ago, just like you need to plan for a hurricane. We got a plan for the Tomerville community, that plan. We got a plan for this. When you don't have a plan in place, what it does, we kind of all over the place. We can't go back and check. We can't say is that nonprofit is really working. You know what I'm saying? We're giving money to different organizations, but we don't have a plan to say, I can't give to someone and say, is this really working? We might know what the city is doing, but we're giving funds to external organizations. How can we hold external organizations?
That's something that we've talked about for the last 2 years. And I don't know if this is a job for public safety. I don't know if it's a job for the administration. I don't know if it's a job for the city council. But there needs to be some sort of auditing function with respect to performance contracts and the money that you give to these 501c3s and what accountability is there out there. Every week at council meeting, there, that such and such organization serves a public purpose, and you give them money. I know when we give them money, we see results, or we see what they said to do. And I'll give you a classic example that Mothers Against Gun Violence, they asked for money for a specific event to do something. That event happens. We see that happening. I do not have the auditing function. I don't know. I do not have probably the authority to do so. I don't know who in the city would be the right person for an auditing function to do so, but that's something that long-term, I think the city needs to look at. So we need to funnel those organizations that are doing what they say they're doing.
So we can say right now, and I don't want to hold anybody up. Right now, y'all can agree right now that we do need a comprehensive plan.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And
As many spokes.
Right.
Yes.
Big wheel,
Mhm.
many spokes. Yeah.
Right.
okay. And the reason why I'm saying that, because now we know we can now create some and say, okay, this is how much funding we need to put towards something, or should we put money here, or should we not give here? Now they put us in a better position to move to curb violence, or to stop certain things to put in place. So I'll do my job to try to push this narrative.
The good thing is that we are doing a lot of things right, but there's always room for improvement. We have relationships across the board with a number of governmental agencies as well as NGOs, but that's still not enough. So we continually try to figure out how do we leverage and not duplicate services. I'll use the health department, for example. They have an array of resources, a lot of which our community has no idea. We try to figure out what they're doing and what they're doing right. And we try to make sure that we are not duplicating that and not looking to fund someone else to do it when it's already being done. So those are key goals of trying to establish where are the holes? Where are the holes in connecting people to resources that they need? And how do we actually identify the duplication of services and go about getting those services to realign what they do, or seek to reduce what we're pushing out in duplication?
So with that being said, if we could work together to get everybody at the table, the major, we know the major, we know the city of Mobile, we know the school system, we know certain organizations that's a part, but we can work and even get community leaders. Can we do that? I think it's possible for us to sit there and the health department and all these different, and so we can sit and say, okay, we're going to create a plan like we have done with other things that we have done with the resilient plan that we have created for the city of Mobile. We have done plans before. Can we not do the same thing here?
We partner with those people because if you heard us talk today, nothing that we talked about do we do alone. It's with the health department, it's with USA Hospital, it's with the public school system, it's with 501c3s. Okay, and it's finding the common ground and moving those programs forward that that we see as viable, they see as viable, and actually produces something data driven that we can track. So yeah, the more collaboration we have, but is amazing, and we've established those relationships, we've established those partnerships, and we continue to move forward.
I just have Madam Vice President. How many people out there in the audience work with young people? Raise your hand. You work with young people. All right. Put your hand down. How many people y'all be willing to work on a comprehensive plan for the city of Mobile? Sit down and come together and we come with a plan. Raise your hand. Okay. I think we got. I think we have something to start with. I think they here, and I see South Alabama represented. I see a lot of. I think we need to start working on a plan to create a difference in our community and our city. And I think what we just said here, we have the meat. Now it's time to make it happen. So thank y'all so much.
Madam Chair. So I don't disagree whatsoever with anything that's been said. And I guess kind of just diving down and just asking Councilmember Penn, I guess, for clarification of kind of guess where you see, like we hear the 4,000 students that are probably couch surfing. We hear, we're dealing with, we're working with our health partners to identify when they come into the hospital, and we identify that need. We plug them in. We have apps. We have services that we're helping homeless, and we're really, it is kind of a holistic approach, because again, it's not a shotgun approach. It's a rifle approach, a shotgun approach when it comes to addressing it. I guess, we had the kind of going back to the Helios group per se with the opioid settlement. We went through a process, and there was a lot of questions with the process, and end result was we found the partners, and then we narrowed down those partners, and then we were able to tuck some other partners into these programs with the partners that we identified were. So I guess that's kind of, I guess, what you're trying to aim at, Mr. Penn, I guess, is coming up. We got these things that are all occurring. I guess just to kind of putting them on paper per se, and putting them on the org structure, and then also finding partners that maybe not necessarily are already involved. And I guess, is that what you're kind of, I guess, focusing on or trying to get to?
That's correct. For me, is when you have a plan, you can have pillars, right? Create pillars on things these are the things that we need to cover, right? You find organizations that we are already working with, we are already serving, we can plug them in the pillars. But there's also organizations that we might not even be working with currently that can also serve in those roles. But if you don't have that plan in place, it's hard to implement. And then from a financial standpoint, we also can hold organizations accountable, because now we have a plan. This is the need. We want to serve kids in this area. What are you doing? If we can go back and look at that data and this is not being done, now we know it's another organization might need to accomplish these things. So when you don't have a plan in place, it's certain things that you just going out there, just doing whatever you want to do.
Yeah, there's a common denominator that we cannot leave out, and that's family. Okay, that's the family. We have to hold families accountable, but we have to support families. Okay, and even, there are families that are in need of support. Like I identified the families that are living paycheck to paycheck. But then you have some who don't, and we have to hold them accountable. But we have to also make sure that we have resources in place for when they do decide that they want to line up and support and be a part of a solution, that we can actually segue them to a solution. Yeah.
I think the councilman is asking for something written. That's what it sounds like, something that we can follow. And he's asking that all the things that we're already doing are simply put into a binder and kind of and gone down the list. I think I asked about a year ago that we did that, and I think that y'all have already done the binder and put the binder in place. I think what he wants now is to see the binder and see the process in which the binder works, and then see everybody that's within the binder that's providing services. The point was mentioned about performance contracts and accountability. The only people that we can hold 100% accountable that are part of the program are the people that we're actually giving money to. And if you remember right, that this administration has cut a lot of those performance contracts and that we used to have that do not exist anymore. Council members now give discretionary money to those groups in order to help supplement what they're trying to do. And if we need to start tracking the what our discretionary money in such small portions are doing to help those groups and track that accountability, and I think we should ask that on the forms that they fill out when they request for those fundings. But to be just dead fast honest here, it's going to be really hard to get 100% of accountability from these nonprofits when we're not funding them and we're only asking them to come to the table and be a portion of what we're doing. But what we can do is set benchmarks of recoverable care and how they're helping us so that we can track everything that's happening out there. And I think that was part of that bond that I read that you guys gave us, which was so many pages that it took almost a week and a half to read it. And I don't know if when we got it that everybody read it 100%. But they did give us a bounder, and I think it's what you're asking for.
So yes, the binder that we received, and Commander Graves just said was the programs that is currently implemented. That's a totally different from a strategic plan. That's a totally different thing. When you target a certain, to say that these are the programs that we're doing right now, to saying that these from and a plan, that's totally different. That's a totally different thing. A comprehensive plan and programs are two different things.
I would like for them to answer that, but I mean, I actually read it, and the bonder actually states that if this happens, then we do this. If we have this set of circumstances, then we're using this people. And in my mind, when you read the bonder, it is a plan now, and it's a comprehensive plan for the whole entire city. Not to say that, what you're looking for need more inclusive detail than what we already have. And if that's the case, then we need to add additional details to the plan that we already have. And I mean, I'm more than willing, like I've always told you, to work that until we get it right. But I mean, I don't think at this point in time, we're never going to have everything in that bonder that we need. And I agree with you. And like I said 100 times, I agree 100%. There's always things we can do better. There's always things that we need to add. There are always things that we're going to learn, especially the mental health portion of this. We've learned over the last 3 years that we have responded to cases where we've had unintended consequences happen because the officers didn't understand the issue of mental health that were out there. And we need to make sure that is included into our plan so that we have a proper response recovery time to it. We've learned over the last 3 years that in certain neighborhoods, when we're dealing with youth, that we may think one group is doing this, but they're not. And we've had some unintended consequences that we need to update that section of the bond in the book to make sure it's part of the plan. And if that's what you said, I'm absolutely 100% with it. And like I said, I think that we have a plan, but it does need to include other things that we've learned over the last 3 years. And to say that it's not comprehensive, maybe I'm misunderstanding the definition that you're looking for, but I know I've been with you for 3 years now. I know what you want, and I'm more than happy to continue to work towards that. And I think they're more than happy to work towards it too. But I think that we need to, instead of trying to reinvent everything that we have, I think we need to add to it. And that goes back to what we were talking about when we're talking directly to Josh and the youth portion of it, and trying to get all of that stuff straight and having a head figure that there's a lot we need to do. And those things need to be included into the plan that we currently have. And not to say that we don't already have it. Super 8 and all those other things are great. Like I said, I think you're excellently going down the right track. But I think there are a lot of things that are in that plan that I read, that I took a week and a half to read every page of, that I mean, it's a serious plan. We just need to add more to it.
And I hear you, William, but I'm just going by what Commander Graves even just said out of his mouth. I mean, you said.
I'll say this.
You said that we definitely need a comprehensive plan.
Well, what we need more than anything, we do have a comprehensive plan, but to say you have one and not to have everyone completely engaged is another. I think that what we have to do is make sure that all department heads of different agencies are all coming together, so that anything that we're doing in the lower ranks is actually being supported at the very top. So, and that's going to take more, but that's not something that cannot be done.
That's right. That is what he's talking about. That is what he wants. And that's what we as a group need to get him and get the city and make sure that the administration is pushing for, because he's ready to go all the way to the finish line. And those groups that aren't active and that we need, but also need them to help us, we need to engage and get them going.
In looking at this, and we probably need to wrap it up, but in looking at this, I think we need a central clearinghouse group,
Yes.
sort of like the United Way. They have all these agencies that they work with. Somebody comes to the United Way, I have this problem. They send them to whatever group and whatever resources available. We need to have our own clearinghouse to start, okay, these are the agencies that we've got working with us. I sat here and threw my wheel, with all the different agencies, and to know all of the resources that are available to date. And then you can have, whenever the holes come up, you list what the holes are and they need to be filled. And then the issues come to them, and then you have the path forward that goes to your different agencies, because you just got to have a way to track and to know who's coming in, what the problem is, and then what resources are available. And it really is just a big wheel, because you've got, this is our goal to prevent the problem. Here are all the agencies that are available to help us. Now, where do we send them? And that's where the tracking comes in. That's where you also find out where your holes are. Then in the interim, what is our focus for these performance contracts? Way back in the day, it was either crime prevention or economic development, and something like that. And there was much greater scrutiny. They had to fill out forms. They had to come state their cases. And, the council sat through days and days of people coming in and telling us why they needed funding. So that has been done in the past, and the performance contracts were only for like a year, basically. And, it was seed money. It was not continued, keeping your budget afloat. But that's a long time ago. So, I'm just thinking there's a way to do this. I think we pretty much got all the bones. It just needs to be sort of centralized and maybe put on paper so that we can all look at it and go, yeah, okay, we got that. And I think help us with our planning and see what we need and how we need to help
Yeah. Now let's
shore it up.
remember one last aspect of that is that we're approaching budget time.
Yeah.
And for this to actually work, there's going to be a need for additional resources and additional personnel. So we have to think about what we're going to change in the budget, where that funding is going to come, and additional resources that's needed for the personnel to manage the plan and do the things we need to do. So if we're going to do it, it's May. Today is the 29th, so we might as well say it's May 1st. We only have 60 days.
Mhm.
So if we're going to do it, we need to dig into it now and get it done.
And I will add that, looking at next year's budget, we need to increase the number of police officers on the street. We need, the $300,000 that was given today is not going to cover the 950 cameras that we need to get up and running. So when you talk about budget, there's a lot of budget requests that are going to have to be asked and answered. And how many additional officers we're going to give, how, where are you going to put your money? And because we can't do everything. And I'd love to say we can, but my budget's not big enough right now.
Well, one of the reasons that we did performance contracts in the first place was because we knew there were certain services that the city just could not do. So that's why we created the performance contracts to give to these organizations to help the city perform these services. And it's just, of course, grown over the years, but that's why we did it in the first place.
And we developed, when I was at OPR, we developed a auditing sheet for performance contracts. However, there's no authority behind to do anything with it.
I will add this, that the fatherhood program that the health department has is working great with a lot of different partners. That program is working currently with DA Blackwood and Truancy. We have the facilitators of that program. They actually meet with parents who have been identified as those who have not abided to the truancy law. And they're meeting them once a week. They're working with them. They're also helping them find employment, those who are underemployed. But the health department, that's just an example of what's working and how others have attached to what's working, like the DA's office. So we are doing a lot of good things collaboratively from the standpoint of multiple agencies. But again, going back to meeting the key department heads in a meeting would go a long way in solidifying all the effort.
I agree.
All right. Well, I think that would be amazing if we can do that, and get some community collaboration as well, get some feedback. So hopefully we can set something up, and maybe that doesn't cost as much. If we can get, going back to your point of, we get the organizations, we get then that, there you go, a part of it, then maybe it doesn't cost as what we think it might be. So I don't mind being a part of that. I said it before. So let's move forward together as a team and let's create some change in our city.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you,
don't
Madam
mind being
Vice
a part of it too. I'll actually, whatever help you need from my end on discretionary, let me know.
Anybody else? All right. With that, we are adjourned, but we will continue this conversation.
Thank you.